What up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to season 4 of Dope Chats with Stretch. That is I, yours truly, Stretch, a 6'6" phenomenon. Thank you for hanging out with me on this beautiful Tuesday night. I know there's a lot going on. You got baseball, you got hockey, you got the beginning of the basketball season, but you also know what you got. Dope Chats, baby. And man, I am super excited about having my first guest for season 4. So for all those folks out there who've been, following and just rocking out with me for the past 2 years. I think I started this podcast maybe 3 years. I had to take a little break because I was just tired. So 8 months later, I'm back and I am ready to give you all something that you all need and want in your life, and that is some positivity, man. And with that being said, I would like to bring to the stage my man. He is probably one of the dopest people I've met thus far, and I just met him, so that means a lot. He's an author. He's a guest. He's a guest speaker. He's a motivator. He's a executive. He is none other than Mr. John Thompson III. So let's show him some love, man, as we bring him to the stage. If I can get there, okay, there we go. Boom, John, what's up, baby?
We here. What's going on, Stretch? How you feeling?
All is love, man. All is love, man. Thank
All right.
you. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking out the time to do this.
Yes, sir.
Like, man, I know you could be in other places, but you're here with me tonight.
Hey, look, man, it's an honor, and congrats on three impactful seasons. And look, I can't think of a better guest to kick off season 4 with. I'm humbled and honored. So let's get it.
Talking about, John. Come on now. And
Yes,
so before we get into it, man, because I know you might get this all the time, man. You have a very unique name, one that is, especially if you're in the DMV area, that exudes greatness. Of course, I'm talking about the late great John Thompson, the former basketball coach at Georgetown, and of course his son JT3. So whenever you're out and about, how many times do you get that, like, hey, wait a minute, that look to say, are you related to John Thompson? Yeah, how often
Right.
is
that? All the time. And look, as you mentioned, I live in DC. So look, I'll say first and foremost, homage and respect to the John Thompson, to the great one, and JT3 as well. And I'm John Thompson III. Also, my father, he always told me, he said, I can't give you much, but I gave you my name. So make the Thompsons proud. And so that's what I try to do every single day. And it just so happens I'm a business executive coach, and my website is coachjohnthompson.com. So, it works. But yeah, all respect to the Thompsons, and I continue to hopefully make them proud every day.
My man. Well, that brings us to tonight, man. I am so honored to have this brother here tonight because he just released his first book. It's called Stack Your Deck. You feel me? How to be an ace in business and in life, full of just great knowledge for people to not only conquer the business side of things, but to also, manifest and make things happen with their personal life as well. Stack Your Deck. How did you come up with the concept, and what brought this on?
Look, I've always believed in the power of aces, and I think it started from when I was a kid. One of my favorite places to go, my younger sister Elise, and I, was to go to our grandparents' house. And my grandmother was an avid poker player, and so at the young age of 8-10 years old, we were headed to grandma's house to play poker. And it wasn't just normal poker where you would sit around the table and have fun. We were actually playing high stakes poker, and that included what grandma would say, which is bring your dimes. And so we would bring our bag of dimes, and grandma had no mercy on us, and she had no problem at the end of the night going to bed with all of our dimes. And it taught us a couple of things. Number one, it taught us how to be competitive. And I'm a Gallup strengths coach, and my number one strength is competition. And right. I know I got that at an early age. But the second thing it really taught me was the power of an ace. And when you had an ace, when you were dealt an ace, you felt like you had an unfair advantage. And so from early years, I understood how to leverage the power of aces. And so I went on to redefine what those aces mean. Namely, I call it the ACEs pillars of success, which is your attitude, connection, empowerment, and strength. And so I believe in a world where the deck is stacked against us, we can rearrange the cards and stack the deck in our favor. And so that's really where it came from, early age. And then over the years, I've held on to those aces and really learned how to keep my deck stacked and how to thrive in business and in life.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Speaking of aces, man, what are the core principles of aces, and how do you apply them to your audience?
Yeah, look, I'm a simple individual. I like simple lessons, simple themes. And so what I did was each of the aces I aligned to a hand in the play, like a playing card. And so the ace of spades, that's your attitude. And that's all around how do you control your mindset. And it's keeping in mind this idea that life is 10% what happens to us, 90% how we react. So the great Ziegler said, you know, your attitude determines your altitude. And so how do you leverage the fact that you've got a strong attitude and then own it and then enable that to help you succeed in life? And so the attitude is the ace of spades. The connection, that's the ace of clubs. And that's this whole idea of who's in your club. And when I think about connection, I think about it in terms of how do you build your network. And, you know, we've heard maybe the expression, your network is your net worth.
Correct.
And so making sure that you're surrounded with the right individuals. Jim Rohn says you're the average of your 5 closest friends. And so what I look to do is make sure that those that I'm aligned to are keeping me focused, holding me accountable, challenging, and elevating me. So that's the ace of clubs with his connection. And then the ace of hearts, that's empowerment. And empowerment is all around how do you lead from love with love on the path to your true destiny. And so what I do in the book is I talk to readers about how do you identify your purpose and how do you follow your purpose on the path to your success in life. And it's not easy, but when you do walk in purpose, there's nothing that can stop you. And so that's the ace of hearts. And then last but not least, strength, that's the ace of diamonds. And the ace of diamonds is all around transforming your environment. And so how do you take the challenges and the adversity that you're faced with, and how do you push past that adversity? So I like to say, how do you take that adversity like vitamins and allow it to build you up? So we know there are going to be challenges in our life, but how do you take that adversity like a vitamin, allow it to build you up? So that's what's key. So the ACEs pillars of success, when you embrace them and when you activate them, they can help you push past any challenges and stay on track with your goals in life.
Man, you hit on some key points, man, because I think what I really, took from that also a lot of is mindset, man. And like what you were talking about with what Jim Rome said, with the knowledge, knowing the type of people that you hang around with, right? And so if you have that certain crew that tends to do the same thing week in, week out, and you just find yourself, it's kind of like Groundhog's Day, and it's repetitious. And it's not motivating, it's not taking you anywhere. Change your crew. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, it's just change your crew. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think when it comes down to us trying to elevate ourselves to be better people, better people, whether it be in personal or professional. Like you said, the people that you do hang around with play a major role in that, because if they aren't on the same page, or as folks like they equally yoked with you, then you're not going to see movement. Things are going to stay stagnant.
That's it. What tends to happen is we like to stay in our comfort zone, and we like to surround ourselves with individuals that make us feel comfortable. And those individuals, you could call them like an echo chamber, that they're just going to continue to, whatever you put out, they give back to you. But you want individuals that are going to, as I mentioned, keep you focused, hold you accountable, but challenge you. Right. Those individuals that are getting you to think differently. And so, when I talk about connection, I look at it in terms of 3 areas. First and foremost, connection with yourself, and then connection with others, and then connection with the world. And so each one of those are going to help you as it relates to honing in on your connection. But, connection with the world is very important. And that's this whole idea of how do you step outside of your comfort zone and embrace more of a growth mindset. So it all starts with curiosity. And look, that's how you and I linked up. I mean, we met on a golf course, and we just happened to strike up a conversation. You're an author, I'm an author, and we started to talk more about our books, and then it just blossomed into a connection, a friendship. And I'm inspired by the work that you're doing. I
Thank
hope
you.
it one day to have a podcast similar to you. You're 4 seasons in now, and so I have a lot to learn from you. But the only way that I'm going to learn is by stepping outside of my comfort zone and asking those tough questions of you. And then that's where I learn. That's how I can get better as well.
Man, speaking of comfort zone, man, I mean, you and I, we was kicking it just briefly, yesterday, going over some things, and you have a very interesting story. And if you don't mind, I mean, talking about your story, what led you to this point? What are the things that made John Thompson III in order to get to the point to where he has written his first book, Stack Your Deck?
Yeah. So that I could go in many different directions, but maybe what I'll do is I'll start with just kind of thinking about growing up. My father is Black, my mother is white, and I tell the story early on. My sister and I, we were the only Black kids, not just in our elementary school classes, but in the whole elementary school.
Wow.
And so, I tell the story about the first day of kindergarten when, I was coming home from school, and my mother was excited to see me, just like all parents are when they're getting their kids off the school bus. And when my mother came out to the school bus, instead of being, seeing me come off and running into a warm embrace, I came off the school bus, and the words "bye little N-word" were shouted in unison as I got off the bus.
Wow.
And so it was one of those moments where, at a very early age, recognizing that you're different,
Mhm.
it was impactful. And and I could have gone two different ways, right? I could have thought, what, I'm different, and let me sit in the corner and think of, why me, and woe is me, and why am I different? But what I started to realize is, and my parents helped me hone in to this idea that I'm the special one. I'm different for a reason. I have natural gifts, and let me allow my light to shine out into the world. And so that's how I really learned how to embrace, a mindset of growth and of just being myself and being authentic. And so, that helped me early on. And then, what brought me to this point with respect to the book is, in probably about 7 years or so now, I was passed over for a promotion in corporate America. And, and I've been in corporate for about 25 years. I've got my own coaching company as well. But at the time, about 7 years ago, I was lined up for a promotion, was given positive signs throughout the interview process, and I was passed over. And I was told in the interview, at the end, the feedback was, I'm 98% of the way there. And so that could really send you down a path where you're scratching your head trying to think and figure out, where's that additional 2%? What is that 2% that I need to do?
Mhm.
But what I did was I went down the path of, I mentioned I'm a Gallup strengths coach. Being a strengths coach started with me just understanding and learning, what are my strengths? So what are the 98% that I have? And let me not as much focus on the 2%, the quote unquote 2% that I don't have. And so when I went down the path of understanding my strengths, I really learned a lot about myself.
Mhm.
And, my top 5 Gallup strengths are competition, futuristic, input, learner, and achiever. And
Mhm.
so what I recognized is, when I operate in those strengths, that's when you're the greatest from an empowerment perspective. That's when you're lighting up the world and you're allowing your gifts to shine through. And so that's what led me down the path of creating my coaching company, Team Aces, and then helping individuals and organizations understand their strengths so that they can untap the true potential within themselves or within their organization. So that's kind of what led me to the path of writing the book, looking to get this message out to others, and helping individuals bring meaning to their life by understanding their strengths and really fulfilling their true destiny.
All right, that's dope, man. Once again, you're checking out Dope Chats with Stretch. Yours truly, Stretch, along with my guest tonight, John Thompson III, author of this book right here, man, Stack Your Deck. And if you look inside the book, and I am going to give it a read, and I did peruse it, but you have some really great, I guess you could say just like pieces of stories from different like dope people who've done great things. Did you have a chance to, what was the interaction when you talked to these people and got their stories on, how they excelled and elevated their life?
That was probably my favorite part of the book journey. I mean, there's many different areas that I really enjoyed about the program. So, first and foremost, I got to give a big shout out to Manuscripts team. It was a program through Georgetown University where we wrote together as part of a cohort, and can't say enough about the structure of that program. And so if you're ever thinking about writing a book, getting your words out there, I would encourage you to do so and consider the Manuscripts program. So that's first and foremost. And, with respect to the individuals that I interviewed, that I call them aces, and just hearing their story, learning their story was just so incredibly impactful. So as you read the book, you'll hear individuals like Tokes Oyelola. Tokes is he's a business leader. He's an entrepreneur. He's got a real estate company that he runs in addition to his work as a consultant. And individuals like Saeed Abdul Rahim, who is he's a educator, and then he's got a yoga studio. So he's continuing to reinvent himself. Grammy nominated artist and musician Wayna is just an incredibly talented individual. She's going to be having a TED Talk in a couple of weeks. That's exciting to see. Individuals like Brian Durr, who is a captain of the Coast Guard and a retired captain of the Coast Guard. So hearing his story and his journey. Individuals like Brandon Bowers, who is an executive with Amazon. So hearing his story in corporate, and a host of others. Minna Brown, who is a coach, established her business early in her career, and then has pivoted from the life of a CFO to running a coaching company. And then Deanna Moffat is another author and an executive who talks about how to build confidence and courage. And so these are some of the individuals that I interviewed that I just had such a great time understanding and learning their story. Mm-hmm. And then I also got a chance to incorporate some individuals like Steve Jobs. His story I told in the book. Deion Sanders, there's some lessons from him. One of my personal favorites, Mike Tomlin. He's obviously the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Stretch, I know you're a Ravens fan. You may not want to read that.
Good. He's frat too. He's my frat brother.
So there you go. There you go. All right.
I like him. Just not when we play.
His story's in there. Sarah Blakely, the founder and CEO of Spanx, her lesson. So just a host of individuals where I broke down some of the principles that were instrumental in their life, and then, as I mentioned, align them to either the attitude component, connection, empowerment, or strength.
So as you went through this process, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself as you wrote this book?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it really aligns to this idea, and you called it out earlier, the importance of mindset. And what I really learned how to really foster throughout this process is a growth mindset. And, when you think about the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset, growth mindset is all about continuing to discover and recognizing this whole idea of the power of yet. I may not be an author yet, or I may not be a leader yet, but I'm working on it and I'm developing. And so, really honing in the right skills and then building the right connections with others so I can learn from them. So I think that's really what I learned. And, the fixed mindset is, well, I'm an engineer. I'm not necessarily a writer, so I probably can't write. I'm just really stuck in this whole technical side or this analytical side. So I believe you can do both, but you can do both when you have a growth mindset. So that was key. That was really a key lesson for me.
So with so many things that's going on in the world today, man, if you had an opportunity to just, sit down with some folks that you think really could, benefit from your book, or maybe even benefit from your coaching classes, like what would you say, and what are, or whom rather are some of the people that you would like to have a little one-on-one with, get them right?
Yeah. Look, I look at it like, initially when I was thinking through this book, I was thinking about what are the lessons that I would have wanted to learn 20 plus years ago. Right. And so, I look at it as for the early career professional that are looking to, how do they make their mark in the world? How do you make your mark in the world? What does that look like? What does success look like? How do you define success on your own terms? So, I think there's a natural connection there. But I've also really looked at it through the lens of I'm an executive leader, and what do executives need to hear right now? Look, I experienced burnout early in my career. When I was, fresh out of college, I was on a leadership program in corporate America. I was pursuing a master's degree, an MBA, and then I was also the leader of our African American affinity group, and so I was highly active in the community. And I did what my mother said. I was. She said, "Johnny, you're doing too much. You're burning the candle at both ends." And so that's what I essentially did, and experienced burnout. Had to take a 6-month leave of absence from corporate America, and then I spent 2 weeks in a psychiatric ward because doctors believed that I had anxiety. They put me on medication for anxiety and didn't go well with my system. And so it caused some psychotic episodes that were really challenging at that time. And so I really had to learn what it meant to strike the right balance and strike a work-life balance. And so in the book, I talk about lessons from that time. And then I embrace principles that Gallup writes about in their book called Well-Being, which is how do you drive balance across the indices of your career, social, physical, financial, and community. And so what I recognized was at that time, I was not prioritizing my physical health. So physical health, including my nutrition, my exercise, and sleep, that's what caused the burnout. And so we know burnout is rampant today in corporate America. So I believe executives can, from what I hear from folks that have read it, are really understanding how to strike the right balance between work life and your professional life so that you can be all you can be every single day for both your family as well as your professional endeavors.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hit on the key point, man. That work-life balance is something that's very crucial. I think we've really come to embrace that and have a better understanding of it since, COVID. Because, spending that time away from the office or whatever the case may be, stressing and things of that nature, and unwarranted stress at that, man. It's nothing wrong if you have some leave, take that leave because you can't take it with you, So you might as well use it. You might as well use it.
And you can't pour from an empty cup as well. So you've gotta take the time to fill your cup. And so, I truly believe that you've gotta number one, understand what it means to fill your cup. So what is it that brings you joy in your life? And then unapologetically make sure that you're leaning in there and putting your own oxygen mask on first. So that's really what I'm a big believer in. And being for yourself is not selfish. I believe it's self-full. So you prioritizing yourself then enables you to show up that much better for those that need you the most.
What advice would you give to people who are looking to build strength?
First of all, I would say, I'm a big believer in the strengths tool, the Clifton Strengths. And so, if you're not familiar with it, I would say to go online and take the assessment, take the strengths assessment, and that will help you hone in on what are your strengths. And it's a questionnaire. You understand your strengths, then you understand your lesser talents. Now, if you don't want to go that route of going down the path of uncovering your strengths through the assessment, then ask those that are closest to you. When have you seen me at my best? What do you see that are my natural talents? And then start to recognize those. Start to try to align where people see as your strengths to what you're doing every day in your job. And keep in mind, you've got a job, but then you also have work, and you have your work, which is your calling. And so that's really what I encourage folks. So maybe that's in the community. Maybe there's a calling that you have to play bigger in your professional work. But I would just really encourage you to think about what brings you joy, what strengths do you possess, and how do you activate those strengths more every single day. And a lot of us just wake up on autopilot,
right?
And we just go through the motions. But what I'm saying is you have the ability to recreate yourself. You have the ability to push pause and do some reflection. And there are some, one of the things that I do in this book, at the end of each chapter, I've got a section, it's called Stack Your Deck. And it's a couple of questions for reflection. And so it is meant to go, to kind of help activate some of the principles. And there are resources on my website where they go along with the book. And so there's free downloads. So if you were to go to stackyourdeckbook.com/resources, they will help you integrate some of the principles. And there is actually an extra exercise there around how do you uncover your strengths. So I would say that's key. And then look, I would also say, and I'm going to put a plug in for the work that I do from a coaching perspective, but recognize that you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
There's a reason why the true aces like the Tiger Woods and the Serena Williams, why these individuals have coaches. It's because coaches see things in you that you don't see yourself. But too often, we don't necessarily do that type of work with someone else because we feel like we may know it all, or we may not want to be vulnerable enough to ask for help. But recognize there are coaches out there that will help you uncover your strengths and then learn how to, what we call it, name, claim, and then aim those strengths. So that's key.
But I mean, we're live right now on Facebook. So if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask John, please type it in the comment section. I will respond, or I will read it back to John, and we'll get some responses for you. But also, John, if people want to reach out to you and take you up on those coaching aspects, how can they reach you?
Yeah. So my website is goteamaces.com. So my coaching company is called Team Aces. And on IG, it's at Go Team Aces as well. And then the book is at stackyourdeckbook.com.
Bet. So one more question. Well, two more questions for you before we get out of here, man. You mentioned about maintaining a healthy lifestyle, or a good headset when it comes to doing things. So with that being said, how do you stay balanced with your family, demanding job, coaching, and of course writing this book?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. But what I always look to try to do is recognize what's your why behind everything that you do. And so what my why is, what my purpose is to help others walk in purpose, inspired to reach their full potential. And I came to that purpose by doing some of the exercises that I talk about in the book, in terms of finding your purpose. But once you are aligned to your why, then the how presents itself to you. And so, and then I recognize, look, when you think about, I mentioned, the career, social, physical, financial, and community, those are the 5 pillars of well-being, making sure that you're balanced across all 5. What we tend to do is we tend to over-index from a career standpoint, and then don't do the areas of the social, which is making sure that you've got the good connections, and then the physical, making sure that you're eating right, exercising, sleeping right, both from a physical and a mental health perspective. But I believe in keeping your circle tight. I believe in family first. So starting with and making sure that you've got a good connection with your family, and then you're surrounded by the right individuals that are going to keep you focused, hold you accountable, challenge you, and elevate you. So start with your why, build those strong circle and those supporters that are going to connect you, that keep you connected, and then make sure you're taking time for yourself as well.
Now, will that help me with my golf game, John? Because you're a great golfer, man. And so, listen, man, I know you
Hey,
spit.
that's the ace, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're getting on the golf course. Yeah.
You spit.
But now, look, I'm telling you, the physical health, that's key. So, I got my Fitbit on right here. I do 5 miles a day walking, and that is where we met. We actually, I mean, I don't mean to call it out, but we did win that golf tournament.
You sure enough
shout out to my aces, Toxoye Lola and John Morgan. We win.
Y'all did your thing, man. Hopefully
Yes,
you all come back again next year, man. It's all for a good cause. But this time I'm playing, brother. This time I'm playing.
Hey, let's go. You can be on the team, man. We'll take you on this stretch.
No doubt, man. So once again, you're watching or listening to Dope Chats with Stretch. My guest tonight is John Thompson III, author of Stack Your Deck. And what really stuck out to me, man, is the blurb that you have right here at the very top by Robin Schwammer, the best-selling author, of course, from The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Said this book is an insightful journey on how to define and pursue success on your own terms and live your best life. That's dope, man. That's a great quote. Was that your initial thought process when you wrote this book, that you want to, reach people from that capacity where they're able to take a hold of their life and reclaim their time and reclaim their life, outside of the worries that the world gives us?
You reading that gives me the chills because Robin Sharma is my absolute favorite author. And, when I started out writing the book, I couldn't have imagined the fact that Robin would actually endorse the book.
Mhm.
And I actually write about Robin Sharma's book, The Leader Who Had No Title. I wrote about it in my introduction. And, Robin's book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, is one of my favorite books. And when I was writing, I talk about a lesson that Steve Jobs says. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. You just got to have the faith that those dots will connect in the future. And so, when I was writing the book, I had a chance meeting with another great speaker, motivational speaker. His name is Dr. Willie Jolly, and I know we both share Willie's connection in common. And so had a chance to meet with Willie, and Willie took a liking to the book and provided an endorsement as well. And then through his Sirius XM radio show,
Mhm.
he actually made connection to Robin Sharma and helped me align and get the book in front of Robin and provide that endorsement. So to me, that was the best component of the whole writing journey was when I was able to get that type of feedback from someone who I greatly admire and who's brings so much meaning to the lives of others. So for those that are out there listening, speaking of Willie Jolly, he's got a show every Saturday here over the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's called the Comeback Special. So if you go to winwithwillie.com, you can check out tickets for his show. We actually had a chance, my wife and I had a chance to see him over the weekend, and it was an exhilarating, motivational experience. So, as you can see, Stretch, I stay in growth mode. So I always believe the teacher learns the most. And so I'm continuing to put my own oxygen mask on first and, continue to take in all that I can from a professional development standpoint so that I can pour to others. So, when Robin said it's an insightful journey on living your best life, that's exactly what I felt as I was writing the book, that was what I hoped individuals would see in the book. And so, and then based on the feedback that I'm hearing from others, that is what's resonating. So it's just been a wonderful journey and just so excited to get the book out to the world.
That's good stuff, man. And I mean, you just said something that kind of just resonated with me too, man. I think a lot of times as we go through life, as we mature, as we grow older and things of that nature, we always need to stay on learn mode, right? Because you can never know too much. And we know we've had examples of people that we encounter throughout our lives who think they know it all, and of course they don't. And, um, you know, things happen, regardless of their careers and things of that nature, man. But it's very important to continue to do things to help you grow, whether it be personal or professional. And it's funny because I was a big reader kid, and there was a time where I just like, get books. I'm good, just want to listen to music and whatever the case may be. But then I kind of really got back into
Sorry.
it's food for the brain because you realize if you don't do it's like writing, they don't even teach manuscript writing to kids in school anymore. So if you're sitting there, I'm gonna continue, writing cursive because I think it looks nice, rather than pigeon scratch that a doctor writes or whatever the case may be. But it's just like all about feeding the mind and
That's it.
always continuously learning. So I thank you for that.
No doubt. No, Charles Tremendous Jones said, we'll be the same person today as we are in 5 years, if not the books that inspire us and the people that motivate us. And
Right.
so, making sure that we're taking in the right information, your input determines your output, and then making sure that we're surrounding ourselves with the right individuals. That's incredibly important as you continue on your journey. So, and look, it doesn't have to just be, I know we're all busy. It doesn't just have to be picking up physical copies, right? We've got, I'm in the studio right now recording the audio book. So that's going to be out very soon. It's going to be in my own words. So I always feel like a book is a conversation with the author. And if you can listen to an audiobook, that's even a step further because you're hearing directly from the author. And so, I've got a vast audiobook library. And so, while I'm on the road, I'll occasionally listen to my favorite musician, Prince, or, maybe I'll listen to Jay-Z and, and get some inspiration there. But more often than not, you'll find me listening to a podcast, whether it's Dope Chats with Stretch or, listening to, or listening to an audiobook. But yeah, it's Windshield University right there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I see you got a nice little, nice collection of books behind there on your bookshelf. And we got to add my book on there, man. Get a little last request up there, player.
We gotta get it on there. See,
I got you. I'll bring you a copy.
Yeah, how'd that work? I got you a copy of my book, Stretch. What's going on, man? See,
hey, man, I was on the run. Man. You know how it be sometimes, man. I was on the run, baby. I was on the run.
Okay, I feel you. All right, next time, man. I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. But listen, man, this has been a pleasure, man. Thank you for being the first guest for season 4 on Dope Chats with Stretch. Hey, look. Man. And as you said,
let's send the folks out on a high note here, Stretch. So maybe you may not know, but I'm a poet, and right. I write poems. I included some poetry in the book. In the end of each, or at the beginning of each section, I included a poem. And so one of the poems that I have as a call to action to readers as they close out the book, it's this whole idea of being free, and it's this idea of all throughout the years, I've been comfortable with silence. Don't ruffle any feathers. Don't speak on the violence. We were always taught that someday will be brighter. But what if I'm the one who holds on to the lighter? It's time to spark the flame that leads to the action. Change will result, and then comes attraction. That someday is now. That someone is we. Answer the call. Set the world free. It's our time. Let's go, Stretch.
Come on, baby. Let's get out there, man. I'm ready to go, baby. I'm about to bust through a wall, son. Hey, man. Yes, sir. I like that. That's my guy right there. John Thompson III, the author of Stack Your Deck. Available everywhere books are sold. John, the floor is yours right now, man. Just let everybody know how they can follow you, where they can get your book. And do you have any upcoming events where you'll be at promoting the book?
Yeah, look, thank you, Stretch. I appreciate it. And to all the listeners, I would just say thank you for tuning in. Please share this with others who you think would find inspiration, and let's continue to elevate to the top of our game. You can find me at www.goteamaces.com, stackyourdeckbook.com, and then at GoTeamAces on Instagram. And that's where I post all the latest updates in terms of where I'll be appearing and where I'll be speaking. But and then if you're an individual out there looking for coaching, you want to elevate to the top of your game, reach out. If you've got an organization that wants to build a high-performing team, that's what I do every single day. So would love to connect. So thank you, Stretch. This has been my honor to kick off season 4. And look, I know there's nothing but good work and high inspiration going forward from you and the team here. So thank you.
My man, I appreciate you so much, my brother. And we got to get out there and play some golf, man. The weather's gonna be great this week, man. So yes,
hey,
I don't know what your work schedule's like. I know you're a busy man, but if you're trying to play, let me know.
We definitely gonna have to get out there soon. So what I like to say, Stretch, maybe you can follow in. It's we're gonna start with attitude. So attitude, connection, empowerment, strength. Go Team Aces.
That's what I'm talking about right there, baby, man. If you ain't pumped up, man, something's wrong with your life. You feel me? That's my man right there, John Thompson III. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all for checking us out tonight with Dope Chats with Stretch. We'll be back again next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, talking finances, talking about not making mistakes with your money and not being scared. Oh man, it's just it's a crazy time right about now, man. So it's all about making sure that you get your finances in order. With that being said, I'd say good night to you all. Thank y'all for hanging out, and we'll be back next week right here on Dope Chats with Stretch. Peace.